How's it going, Pokemon fans? Sid here from JollyMonz YouTube channel, here bringing you my week of deck videos. And for my week, I'm also going to be playing Expanded. For the past 2 weeks, you've been seeing us do some Expanded content. Shane did, what was it, Night March. Last week, Trevor did Turbo Dark. And now I'm doing another Expanded deck because there's going to be a lot of Expanded events coming up. And recently, we've been kind of in this point where standard tournaments are kind of boring because it's like the last 3 weeks before rotation happens. So, probably starting next week, we might be doing some more standard content. We might try to alternate some. But since, the rotation doesn't happen until 2 days from now, this week's going to be Expanded. And I'm going to be doing Trevenant. And, I don't know, I feel like this out of the top decks fits my playstyle the most. I like the slower, more controlled decks. And this does control very well. As long as it's your active Pokemon, your opponent can't play any item cards from their hand. Now, as you can see from, if you only play Standard, you can see from, the Plume decks with Decidueye. Or if you play Standard and have seen Seismitoad already, or, even if you just know how item lock works, you know how there is a ton of items. Expanded is a pretty fast format. So, being able to just put Trevenant up and just slow your opponent down to almost a complete halt is pretty good. You got the Tree Slam. This isn't the attack you'll be using most of the time, but it does come in handy when you do get to use it. 1 Psychic, 2 Colorless, 60 damage, does 20 to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Now, because we do play Dimension Valley, it's usually only going to cost 2 Psychic Energy. So you essentially do this for 2 Psychic Energy, 60, and then 20 to 2 bench. The main attack you'll be using is coming from Trevenant Break. It's kind of awkward to read it from here, but 1 Psychic, 1 Colorless will usually just be 1 Psychic Energy. You put 3 damage counters on all of your opponent's Pokemon, and it doesn't do 30 damage, so it gets around resistance and all of that. Any effects that might reduce damage, such as a Raikou, just straight put 3 damage counters on it. Puts it on everything on the board, so essentially you can deal up to 180 damage if they have active and full bench. And again, that's not all to one Pokemon, but you spread damage. It's hard to heal it off, unless you run into a water deck that's playing Rough Seas. But if you run into that, you just have to make sure you win the Stadium War, or just try to go with Tree Slam to knock out actives. We do have another attacker we can use, Tapu Lele. The attack isn't bad. 20 times the number of energy attached to both Pokemon. It's never a bad attack. It's usually here for the Wonder Tag mostly. Usually the turn 1 play, if you don't already have it, if you're going first, grab Lele, grab Wally, evolve into Trevenant turn 1, so you start item locking. Or if you're going second, you can just use Ascension, attach energy, search for Trevenant, and evolves it first turn. So either way, it's pretty easy to get the lock going on turn 1. It's just depending on if you're going first or second, there's different ways to do it. If you're going second, it's easier to do it with Ascension, because most of the time if you're going to use Wally, you might end up needing Tapu Lele, and it's better to have non-Trevenant Pokemon, because they can always just Lysander or Guzma to get out of the item lock, because it doesn't work while it's on the bench. And then the last Pokemon, before we go to that, I do want to point out that we are playing Psychic Energy. So on the off chance you do want to use Tapu Cure, it's not bad. But the last attacker, and probably the main GX deck you'll be using, we do play a 1 of Necrozma. There is 1 double colorless in here. So if you have Dimension Valley in play and a double colorless, you can use its attacks. The ability is not that bad. Prevent all damage done from normal Pokemon. So if you do run into a deck that's playing Tauros or Drampa, there's not a lot of those running around in Standard to my knowledge, but it's not a bad ability to have. This Prismatic Burst doesn't really do anything for us. It's the GX attack he's in here for. Does 100 damage to each of your opponent's EX and GX Pokemon. Now, since we're doing a lot of spread damage, it's kind of hard to get knockouts on the higher HP Pokemon. You got the EXs that are 170, 180. Some GXs are reaching, past 200 if they're stage 1 or stage 2s. And even the stage 1 GXs are still, at 180, 170, 190. So Black Ray GX, you can just come in, 100 damage to all of them. That's more than 3 Silent Fears. That's almost 4 Silent Fears. So a lot of times you can just Silent Fear 3 turns in a row, stack 90 damage on a bunch of stuff, and then just come in, Black Ray GX, pick up 2-3 knockouts on the XGXs and just win the game right there. Onto the items, you got your one of Computer Search. Of course, Computer Search is just really good. I need a drink real quick. Scratchy throat. Now, I'm one to play a more disruptive version of the deck, so I have 4 Crushing Hammers. Flip a coin if adds Scared of an Energy anywhere on the board, or anywhere on your opponent's board. Yeah. And then 1 Enhanced Hammer. Just straight up discard a Special Energy. There's a decent amount of Special Energies going around. Groudon plays, Strong Energy. If you're into this iGuard card bank, that plays a Strong Energy. There's a lot of DCE decks. VC Greninja, they might leave a Splash Energy in play if they don't choose to return it for extra damage. But I don't really see why they wouldn't. Opposing Trevenant decks that might also be playing, playing Mystery Energy. But yeah, there's a lot of Special Energy. 2 red cards. Since your opponent can't play a lot of their items, they're a lot of times just going to hold big hands. So why not just go ahead and red card them, put all of those items back into their deck, and make them draw all their dead cards all over again. You might even red card them into something useful, but most of the time, if you get the lock early enough and they're not able to disrupt it or, stop it from locking them down, you're just going to be able to reshuffle all their items back into their deck, and then they have to draw through all of them again and try to find answers. It's a real pain for them. Super Rod, put back energies, or just put back Trevenant lines. We're, kind of weak. Best case scenario, we're reaching 160 HP. So, if they do get something going, they can knock us out pretty easily. It's almost essentially a stage 2 deck, too, without Rare Candy. So it's a little hard to keep them going and going. So Super Rod kind of helps us out. If we have like 2 Trevenants set up, one gets knocked out, we can try to set up the other one while the other one's slowing our opponent down, hopefully. 4 Ultra Ball, it's probably my favorite card in the game, honestly. Helps with turn 1 Wallies. Helps to just grab anything you need. I love Ultra Ball. I can't see myself not playing for this card in any deck. 4 Versus Seeker. We all know this card's really good. Gets back one of Supporters, gives us extra Lysanders or Guzmas, gives us extra draws. We play 1 Karen. So against like Night March or Vespiquen, you just put everything back into their deck all over again, make them try to empty it. Versus Seeker's just really good. For the stadiums, we play 4 Dimension Valley. I was previously using a version that played just 3 Dimension Valley and 1 Silent Lab. But I think if you're going to be using the one of Necrozma, then you need the 4 Dimension Valleys. Just to make it easier to attack. You don't really want to be using this as like a standard attacker. It's just something there to finish off the game. So you really want to just be able to drop it, attach a DCE, and just Black Ray for whatever prizes you need that turn. Because if you attack with this, you're not item locking them. For the supporters, Colress. Colress is just good. We're going to try to keep Pokemon on our bench. And since we're not really knocking theirs out too often, we're not really taking one-hit knockouts pretty easily. We're spreading a lot of damage. They're probably going to have a lot of stuff on our bench. We're going to try to have like multiple Trevenants ready to go on our bench. So Colress can be a nice way to just shuffle your hand back in and draw 6, 7, 8 cards without having to discard them. One of Guzma. I feel like this card's mostly going to be in here for just putting your Trevenant back into the active. Because, they're going to try to Lysander to get around your... They're going to Lysander or Guzma to get around your item lock. Or even just to pull the basic Trevenant up if you have a Trevenant break in the active. So Guzma, you can just switch your whatever Trevenant you want back into the active and just keep attacking. I feel like I'll be using this as a switch more often than a Lysander. One Karen, just for, the Night Marchers, the Vespa Queen decks. You already have a pretty decent matchup against them because they need their items to really get themselves going, unless they just get really lucky with their Sycamores. But in that case, that's why you have the Karen. You can Karen them once, put everything back in the deck. If they happen to get set up again, you just Karen again with Versus Seeker, and at that point, they really just can't win. I mean, Night March is already pretty easy because Silent Fear just knocks out Joltix on the bench. 2 Silent Fears knocks out Pumpkaboos on the bench. Tree Slam knocks out any of their Night Marchers aside from like Night Marchers, the Fighting Fury Belt, or if they use Mew EX or Marshadow. So the Night March matchup is relatively easy. We got our 2N. We don't really need too many draw supporters in the deck. That's where there's only 2N. And hopefully they're not taking prizes too quickly. So ending them down to like 1 or 2 isn't going to be happening that often. We got our Sycamore, 3 of them, discard a hand, draw 7. I don't know why this isn't Juniper. I usually play Juniper in my expanded decks, but whatever. Yeah, this card's just good. There's like no way around this. 1 Flare Grunt, because we're trying to go for a lot of disruption. Play it, discard an energy attached to the active. More energy denial makes them have to try to dig to be able to attack. And they probably can't because you're hopefully item locking them. It's kind of the same thing with Zerosic. Discard a special energy or discard a tool, because we do play 1 Headringer. So if they have an EX with like a Fighting Fury Belt or something already, but you want to try to lock it down with Headringer, you can Zerosic to get rid of like the Choice Band or whatever they have, and then just attach the Headringer to it. And then one thing I really like to do is Headringer and EX that has kind of a big attack cost or a big retreat cost. Bring them up into the active since they can't float stone since they're Headringer on it, and then just keep denying their energies. Like if a deck is playing Hoopa, I will Headringer Hoopa in a heartbeat and bring it up so that they can't float stone, and they're probably not going to be able to attack with it, so they're just going to have to attach energy to try to retreat, and in which case I'm just going to try to deny their energies. And then you got Wally. Play 2 of these just for the turn 1 if you're going first, or if you're going second, it helps too. But to try to get the turn 1 Trevenant. We play 2 just in case you play 1 and it gets prized. You can't really do anything after that. So 2 Wally just ensures that we get a turn 1 lock. Try to stop our opponent from playing items as soon as we can. And then for the energy, for Mystery Energy, our Pokemon have kind of heavy retreat costs. Trevenant has 3. Necrozma has 2. I think this one has 2. Yeah, Phantom has 2. Laylee is the only cheap one at 1 energy. But, better to have this since we have some heavy retreating Pokemon. It kind of is inconvenient that Trevenant has 3 retreat, so we'll still need to discard an energy even if the Mystery Energy is on it. But better to discard 1 energy than having to discard 3. Especially since we're not playing any Floatstone and we just have 1 Guzma. The 1 DCE for Necrozma. And I guess if you can't find your Dimension Valleys, it makes hitting Tree Slam a little bit easier. Maybe you can attack with Lele for a cheeky knockout here or there. But this 1 DCE is mostly just here for Necrozma. And then we get the 5 Psychic Energy. Basic Psychic Energy, making 9 Psychic Energy in total. I was testing this a little bit yesterday, and I was only doing 3 Mystery Energy, but I felt like I wasn't getting my energy frequently enough, so I upped it to 9 total Psychic Energy, just to see how it works. There's a lot of stuff in this version of the deck right now that I'm just testing, and I haven't really used this exact list. I've used similar, but there's a lot of things I'm trying. Like the Necrozma, I've only played a little bit. I used to play 2 Headringers. This will be... No, I've used the mystery energies before. But yeah, that'll be the deck profile. I'll be playing some games with this over the next couple days. So make sure you check those out. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, stay jolly.